This series of slides will introduce the monitoring capability of nJams, not just another monitoring solution, against IBM's message broker product, version 10 known as IBM Integration Bus or IIB, and version 11 known as App Connect Enterprise or ACE. You are all familiar with integration, and you build your flows with IIB, which are then deployed to the platform, and suddenly everything becomes more or less a black box. Unless, of course, you build a framework yourself and you log data to log files or to an external data source, like a database, and you browse this data to understand what has occurred within your platform. A number of years ago, a German client was very frustrated with the monitoring of their platform. They couldn't get the relevant insights because they had a very large distributed environment with a lot of flows processing a lot of business data, orders, invoices, and so on. And so, in the operations space, it was decided that something needed to be done about this to get out of this darkness and give the customer a bit more visibility as to what was going on in the platform. So this was the birth of nJams from Integration Matters, deployed over the years to monitor different integration platforms, and in 2019, W3 Partnership was asked to provide an nJams solution for IBM IIB, and more recently for the latest version, now known as IBM ACE, to make sure whenever your flows are deployed, you have visibility as to what is happening within the IIB platform. nJams monitors the flows natively as well as the data executed across these flows. It automatically identifies issues and it can generate alerts for any issues that occur in the platform, and it does all of this without you having to make any changes to your code. That's important. It dynamically discovers the IIB code that has been deployed to the platform. More on that in a moment. The nJams customer base comes from every industry, and the companies are based across the globe. When customers were asked what they wanted to know about the status of their operations, they said they wanted to understand the status of a certain business process, how well it has been executing, its outcome, its performance, its well-being basically. They wanted the transparency to reach the ultimate goal of operational excellence, and, importantly, they were looking for a solution that scaled. Now, what you might figure from that is they were not interested in the resource aspects of monitoring. Their focus was very much on whether the business is running, that the end-to-end process is working as expected. Are we delivering on the promise? And what we saw was a fundamental change in monitoring, away from the pure resource monitoring, CPU, memory, etc., down to business goals. Is my process working? Does it succeed? Does it meet SLAs that have been defined? So how do we do that? nJams enables the development, operations and business teams to manage their business processes to ensure reliability and to achieve superior business results. All the data that flows through the integration platform is collected, so nJams sees the business data as well as the technical data. This allows nJams to identify issues which impact the performance of the processes. All these collected metrics allow nJams to create alerts and respond to issues in real time. The product is designed to work with cloud-based integration solutions. nJams is available as a SaaS solution and you can connect it to all your cloud deployments. So whether you run IIB or ACE in the IBM cloud or in any other VPC, it makes no difference to solutions built on nJams. Here we have an order enrichment use case where an input order requires the price, product, and customer data to be added to the message. We have a fairly basic input order message that details the order line information as well as the customer number. The message flow uses the aggregation nodes to fan out the input message to backend systems that provide the enrichment data. Each backend system returns the required data, and once the last message has been returned, the aggregate reply node allows the accumulated response messages to be processed further. The response flow then reassembles those messages and transforms the resultant message using the XSL transform node before writing the final resultant message to an output queue. So, nJams will automatically generate the topology of the message flows. You can see here the nJams server view of the topology of the initial fan-out order enrichment message flow. This is achieved without any changes being made to the message flows or your platform. When messages are executed, nJams will collect the metrics around the activity. If any error occurs, nJams will collect the errors automatically and will present to the user via the UI. Often, a message will be processed by several flows or subflows. As in this use case, and nJams will correlate the uses of the message across the flows and will present the correlation chain to the user to understand where exactly processing of data started and where any issues have occurred. Coming to the nJams user interface, on the left-hand side, the monitored domains are displayed and nJams automatically shows all the flows deployed to each of those domains. It also applies access control to this, so it may be the case that different users can see different flows listed. Once you click on any of the flows, in this case the order create request flow, nJams will execute a search and will show you all the executions of that flow within your platform. So every entry in this list corresponds to a specific order. If there are any errors, nJams will highlight them in red. Successful messages are shown as green. If you then click on any one of those messages, nJams will show you exactly what happened inside IIB for that message. The green arrows on the pictorial representation of the message flow shows the path taken through the flow. In addition, there is a search bar where you can search on any data contained within the message, such as order number, and nJams will show you a list of all messages that fulfill your search criteria. Each message execution is shown with its time of execution, so there are a lot of statistics calculated for the platform, for every single flow definition as well as for every single definition in the flow. nJam also allows you to capture the message content at any point in the flow. In this example, we can see the message structure as it enters a compute node within the order create response flow. You'll note that this is a relatively simple XML message, but this can be in any format, for example JSON, CSV, EDI, etc. After clicking on the Output tab, you can see the message output from a node. In this case, the message has been transformed to a SOAP message, using an XSLT defined to the XSL transform node. This demonstrates the power of nJams to not only report on statistics for the platform and for each message flow, but also details of each message traversing a flow. So, in a nutshell, with nJams in place you have an opportunity to monitor a layer which has never been monitored in IIB or ACE, the flow layer as well as the data layer. nJams provides this feature out of the box without requiring the platform developer or administrator to make any changes or enhancements to gain this visibility. How does it work? nJams consists of two components. One is the server component, the other is the client component. The client component is nothing more than a jar file that you will deploy to your platform along with a configuration file. That configuration file will tell the nJams client where to send the monitoring data. Obviously, it will send it via any JMS message provider to the nJams server, which will display the data, execute the alerts, and so on. If you are interested to see more about nJams monitoring against IBM's IIB or ACE product, a demo or evaluation, or just to answer any questions you may have, you can get in contact with W3 Partnership as shown on this slide. Alternatively, you can contact Integration Matters directly and they will do the same.